All right. So we've come to Yoga Hour today throughout the month of October, working with the mantra, be imperfect, and a lot of the lessons pulled from Brené Brown's The Gifts of Imperfection. I had read this book previously, and then she released a 10th anniversary edition, and has it's the bulk of the book is the same, but with extra highlights as an introduction and a few extra guideposts at the end of each chapter. And it's just been really rewarding for me at this time and phase in life to go back and so I've got a little funny story. This week I had to get my eyes checked. It was time for the exam. And going in, I was pretty pumped because I was like, I'm pretty sure that these glasses are still my right prescription. And that hadn't happened to me in previous years. I was like, whew, these headaches are getting bad. It is really time to find the new prescription. But I felt pretty spot on, and I indeed was. Prescription didn't change in the last year. So 2 thumbs up for that. And I said, all right, I think now is finally the time. I am ready to figure out contacts. And I thought this would be like sort of a process for some reason, that it wouldn't be like, yep, here's your contacts today, but it was. She's like, yeah, I'll just go grab those. And you have to take a contact lens class before you can leave and show us that you can get them in, you can get them out on your own. I was like, oh, I immediately felt a little bit of pressure because I don't love tests. And this was a test, and I want to get everything right. I tend to be pretty perfectionist. And so here we go. She put them in for me and then moved me to a different room with a clerk that I needed to get them out and then get them back in. So it took me a good 20 plus minutes to figure out how to get these things out of my eyeballs. And then I sat there for at least 30 minutes, quite frustrated, trying to get the contact lens back in. And they did not want me to use my glasses, so part of it was like, I can't even see this thing on the tip of my finger that you now want me to like poke straight into my eyeball. I'm sure plenty of you wear contacts and, have had this thing, but he was like, well, at home you might like sort of put your glasses on and figure it out and all that stuff. But for our purposes, we cannot let you leave this room with contacts unless you have succeeded and done this. And it needs to be pretty darn perfect, right, to get it in. Well, after a good hour of work, my eyeballs are not going to allow this. I've got a raging headache. I am extremely frustrated that I have failed this. I cannot do it. And I left. And it was really hard, and I was just like down on myself. I did call my mom and tell her, and she kind of laughed at the whole thing, and that helped to pick me up a little bit. I know that my mom's been putting contacts in her eyes since she was like 10 years old, and I'm like, how do you do this? And she's like, we're all built and made for different purposes, and maybe yours is because you look fabulous in glasses. I was like, okay, Mom, thank you. And it was this reminder, come back to self-compassion, let go of those imperfections a little bit. And Brené, in her guidepost 2, opens with a quote from Anna Quindlen, an author that I love, that says, the thing that is really hard and really amazing is giving up on being perfect and beginning the work of becoming yourself. So a long story short to this one sentence, the thing that is really hard and really amazing is giving up on being perfect and beginning the work of becoming yourself. Friends, let's start in downward facing dog. As you stretch into downward facing dog, Breathe. Notice all of the creaky parts. Notice what's tight in the body. And that there are reasons for that. Be compassionate to yourself. We try again. We do our best through this practice to continually become more ourselves. Stay here in that full body stretch of downward facing dog a bit longer. Lower the knees now back down to your mat. Sit back in child's pose. Reach the arms out far in front of you, beyond fingertips. Lift your forearms, your elbows, your upper arm bones. The hollowing in the armpits so you can stretch longer and fuller from the shoulders, ribs, belly, hips. Come back up to all fours. Switch your hands out to the side or all the way around in southpaw. Fingers face towards the side of the mat or back towards the knees. Round your back like cat pose while you do this. And then flip the hands back around. And again, go to downward facing dog. Come forward to plank pose, straight arms, plank pose. Press down through your thumb and first finger a lot. Look just forward of the hands. Squeeze the heels in tight, squeeze the glutes. Lengthen your tailbone, tone the abdomen, stay here, full plank. And then lie flat down onto your belly. Hands behind you, either open or try to interlace here. Lift everything up. Lower down, press back to child's pose. Interlace your hands, flip the palms, and then sit upright. Sit back on the heels, stretch the arms. Press through your thumb and your first finger a lot. Come back out to plank, but down onto the forearms. So just pose by pose here, not a lot of flow. Feel the body warm up in these static postures. In forearm plank, try to look forward still, past your fingers. I like to have the feet wider instead of together, a little more space. And stay here, toes or knees. You can always go a few breaths down, a few breaths up. Find your placement. And then walk back up to the hands, full plank, straight arms. Downward facing dog. And step your right foot forward to the front of the mat. Lunge with a twist, lift the right arm up. Down dog lunge, spin the back heel down, hands come to the inside. Reach out to the front corner or more off to the side. As ever, push that weight into the back leg. Walk the hands in around the front leg, pick up the back heel back to your regular low lunge and switch sides. Feel free to step forward or back to get into the second side. As you find the low lunge, then add the twist, left arm up. Bring the hand to the inside, spin the back heel down, walk the hands out over the front corner of the mat. And as you walk the hands back in, this time step forward to the very front end of the mat. Stand up, reach the arms all the way up to the sky as you do so. Interlace the hands, flip the palms, big full summit reach. Unflip the hands and lean to one side. Lean up and over to the second side. Come back to the center. Separate the hands, but keep them overhead. Keep your right foot forward. Step the left foot back into your high lunge. Take it into twisted lunge, left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Look down at your mat so that you have some stability and step forward to twisted chair pose. Untwist, stand tall, arms up to the sky. Keep the left foot forward, step your right foot back, high lunge. Twisted pose, right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Same work here, look down rather than to the side so that you have a little better balance to step forward and take twisted chair pose. Untwist, stand up, arms go back up to the sky. Back to the first side, right foot stays forward, step the left foot back. This time, hold on to your left wrist and pull more towards the right side. So you get that long side body stretch and reach. And then a little more hinge forward to bring the stretch more into the left side of the spine, the back. Drop the hands all the way down to the yoga mat. Step forward, back into chair pose. But interlace the hands behind your back in chair pose and lift the arms up to the sky. Try to stay in a deep bend of the knees, sit into your thighs. Release the hands, stand up, arms to the sky. Left foot forward, step the right foot back so you're in high lunge. Hold on to the right wrist, reach to the left. Big reach in the side body and then hinge forward to take the stretch into the side of the back. Change again, hands down around the front foot. Step forward, be in chair pose, so bend the knees, sit into your thighs, but take the hands again, interlace behind the back and lift up. Arms overhead as the forehead stays down onto or close to the knees. And again, release, stand up, arms to the sky. Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Step back to plank. Lower down to the yoga mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. Downward facing dog. Steady the breath here in down dog. And now look forward to your hands. Step or jump to the front end of the mat. Half lift. Forward fold. Stand, reach the arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. The opportunity to give it a try, not to be perfect, but simply to enjoy one more time. Exhale, forward fold. Half lift. Keep going, step back to plank. Lower down to the yoga mat. Peel the chest up for cobra. Hips up and back for down dog. About 3 full breaths there in downward facing dog. I'm adding on from here. I actually want you to come back to plank pose. Lie flat down onto the yoga mat without hands bound. So hands back, palms up, just everybody nice and open. Lift, lift, lift. Do all that you can here. Tighten up in the quads to help the whole body rise a little bit more. And then release. Push back to wide child's pose. So knees really wide, big toes together. Let the arms and the head relax down onto the mat for a couple of breaths. Okay, and then go back to downward facing dog. We kind of finish out that flow. Look to the hand, step, jump if you're still working on those jumps from last month. Inhale, half lift, forward fold. Stand up, reach the arms to the sky. Palms together, center of the chest. Take it right into tree pose, right foot onto your left leg for tree pose. Nothing fancy about it, just like, hey, this is where I feel full. Work with your breath. Take the hands where you want them. All of the things that work best for you. Staying present for tree pose. And then change sides. We talk about being present in our yoga practice so often. I recently read a study that said the average person spends 47% of each day thinking about the past or the future. So we want this hour on the mat to kind of like up our percentage, stay in the present with each inhale, each exhale. Lower the arms, lower the leg. Take a wide stance on your mat. So face the long edge, take the wide stance. Extend the arms out on either side. Just be as big as we can here. Excellent. Turn your right toes out, bend the knee, warrior two. Lower the back hand to your thigh, and then take the front hand behind your head, keeping this openness of hips and shoulders. Point the elbow more up to the sky, so it's a side body bend to get you more aware and open into the upper back. Touch your right elbow down to your knee. You're kind of staying in that shape. We're going to do this a couple of times. So you tap the elbow down and then try to rise back up, elbow towards the sky, side body bend, a little opening across the upper back. Ay, ay, ay. And we do it one more time. Tap down, elbow towards the knee. And then reverse warrior is elbow up towards the sky. Super job. Good old warrior two. Come back to neutral. Extend the arms in either direction. Triangle pose. Straighten the front leg. Hinge towards the leg. Fingertips down to the floor or a block or your leg. Top arm towards the sky, really open across hips, shoulders here. Imagine the head more leaning back a tiny bit rather than trailing forward. And inhale, come all the way back upright. Rebend the front knee. Straighten the leg and flip your feet. So turn the left toes out. Warrior two first. Stack shoulders right over the line of the hips. Take the back hand down to your thigh, give it some support. Front hand behind your head. Again, you're thinking side body bend, which means right shoulder getting closer to your right hip as the left shoulder and hip expand and get a little further away from each other. Reverse warrior with the hand behind the head for support there. And then tap elbow down to the knee. This version of side angle. Take it back up. And down. Take it back up. Stay with this. Reverse warrior, 2 more breaths. Lean the head into the hand. Back hand really supported against the thigh. As you come to a neutral spine, extend the arms out in either direction. Straighten the front leg. Go for triangle pose, hinge. Left fingertips to the ground, right hand up to the sky. If reaching the hand all the way down to the ground makes you lean forward, take the hand to the leg instead so you have more light, more ease to lean back. Yes, yes, yes. Inhale, come all the way up, warrior two. Just to take us into transition, straighten the legs. Turn the feet parallel to each other. Do wide-legged forward fold. Prasarita Padottanasana. Drop the hands down under the line of your shoulders, which means you can walk the hands out a little bit. You get this long spine to work with. Reach from the hips out to the crown of the head like our half lift in the sun salutations. We want to always keep that lengthy spine, but walk the hands in and start to send the head down towards the floor. I'm trying not to rush us in anything today. Sometimes that happens in a yoga hour practice. We're trying to fit a lot in. We speed up the pace a little bit. I'm purposely taking it a little slower. Let you find these postures. Be compassionate to yourself about how they present. Okay, now look towards the front end of your mat. Circle into a low lunge wherever that front side is. Step it all the way forward, both feet to the front. Stand up, reach your arms to the sky. Eagle pose. Wrap your right elbow under the left. Cross back to the palms. Bend your knees, sit into the legs like Utkatasana, chair pose. And then cross the right leg over the left. We're always looking for a higher wrap in the thighs so that you have more space to hook the foot behind your calf. This is always a model of imperfection for me, wobbling, bobbling. I get that foot to hook maybe 1 time out of 5. Work with your present moment. How's it coming to you? Release your right leg, release your arms. Lift and reach to the sky. Try your second side, left elbow under the right. Cross back to the hands. Bend the knees, cross the left leg over. Again, that left foot could stay out to the side, hug to the outside edge of the calf, or try to hook behind the calf so that your big toe faces down towards the Achilles heel. Squeeze everything towards the midline. And again, unwrap, release the arms, lift up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, touch down to your toes. Inhale, half lift. Keep the right foot forward, step your left foot back. Take the back knee down to the floor, build both hands up to your front thigh. So with the back toes tucked underneath, we're pressing down through the left knee and drag it forward so you feel really active and strong. And for me, that helps to get maybe an inch more through the spine. Take your arms up, worry about that reach and stretch first, then descend the hips a little down and forward. Now, hands behind the head, hug the elbows in so you see them in your peripheral vision. Just like we did in the side bend, but now both elbows go together, lift up towards the sky. And you can really press hands forward into the head, head back into the hands to feel safe, held in the hardness of the opening. Gently, slowly come out of the back bend. Set the hands down, so more in a forward fold direction. You're just hanging heavy, hands down, forehead looking down. Plank pose, pick up the back knee, slip the right foot back, hold strong, top of your plank. And then let's go for the second side. Swing your left foot forward, right knee down. Make sure that those feet are in two different paths, still hip distance apart. They're not converging. Hands to the waist to start with for this side. Squeeze the elbows in behind your back. From there, can you lift and arch? Take the hands back up behind the head. Hug the elbows in. Now can you lift and arch? How are those different for you? And slowly release. Drape your upper body over the front leg. Taking a couple of breaths. And slip it back to plank pose. Walk down to your forearms, one at a time. Interlace the hands to make it easier. Keep the elbows only as wide as your shoulders. Dolphin pose, walk the feet closer to the elbows. As you do that, the hips lift, so it's like down dog in the legs. Plank on the forearms. Push down through the forearms to get the head to stay lifted, aware and open. 2 more breaths in this dolphin pose. Stay with me. And then walk the feet back out to your regular forearm plank. Look forward. And lie flat down onto the belly. Take the hands wide away from your mat. Fingertips, point the elbows up to the sky. So we'll do big rolling cobra pose here. Inhale, lift the chest, press down through ridge tops, top of the feet. And then roll back down. Inhale, lift up, look over your right shoulder. Let the left dip down and forward a little bit. Do that to the second side. Roll all the way down. And then one more time, inhale, lift up. Really good. Lower it down. Flip over onto your back here. Flip around to your back. Take the hands and feet straight up into the air. Do a crunch in your upper body, so lift your head and shoulders up to try to make your fingers touch closer to the toes. Right leg lowers down, lean to the left. Both legs up. Left leg lowers down, lean to the right. And up. We are taking this one faster today. Go side to side. First side, together. Second side, together. First side, together. Second side. One more time each side. And then hug your knees into your chest. Let your head and shoulders go back down to the mat. And for a moment, really squeeze those knees close into the body so it feels uncomfortable. Now, can you imagine setting up for crane pose, bakasana, crow pose, all of the names that you wish to use while on your back? So inner edges of the feet, stretch them in, push them into one another. Separate the knees enough that with hands straight up in the air, you can do that crunch, lift your head and shoulders up, and try to get your body kind of nestling in between the legs. Can your inner thighs touch your upper arm bones? That's all of the strength, the presence, the power for crane pose. And now let's rock ourselves up to a seated position and try it. So if you start with feet together, knees apart, hands against the mat with straight-ish arms, and then crouch the knees to your upper arm bones. So if I'm really low, they would be on my forearms. I want to go to the upper arm bones. Feel those two rub against each other, which will mean some bend in the elbows for support. As the feet lift back up, inner edges of the feet still touch. Stay with it. Keep practicing. And then lower the feet down. Take your feet as wide as your sticky mat, malasana. Turn the feet a bit out as your hips sit low, palms together. Yogi squat. Good, so this gets us into the different squat and pigeon variations that we played with last week as well. Here's the start. You go back to flat hands like we just did practicing bakasana. So palms flat on the mat. And can you bring your feet back close together? Keep your feet and hands flat and sit lower into the thighs. So in a lot of ways, this looks a little bit more like chair pose, just with hands down. For me, it's uncomfortable. It's hard with lengths of limbs to get belly force down enough on the thighs to keep the palms flat. So that's the work here. A little different in the hip flexors. And now we're going to come all the way, stand up. Remember tree pose from earlier, of course. Right foot onto the left leg, good old tree pose. But then cross it over for a figure 4 shape. Ankle across the thigh. Knee still trying to point out to the side. And then with your left leg, can you keep feet flat? Lean forward again and get your hands back flat on the ground. So you've got a figure 4 shape in the legs with flat palms and left foot flat on the ground as possible. Now imagine going on to the next layer that your left foot, that standing leg, needs to behave a little more like Bakasana, like crane pose. To give myself room, I'm going to walk the hands out an extra step and then lean the body forward so that the right foot can hook over my left elbow, and that immediately brings me to my toes rather than the full of the left foot, so that that back leg can act more like Bakasana and try to squeeze and lift up to your butt. It goes back down. Can I get my foot flat, hands flat again? Stand all the way up and release the right leg. All right, so we're getting to flying pigeon pose. Today I'm keeping that back foot tucked in like Bakasana, not shooting it out like pigeon. If you have different ways and you want to try different steps, that is fine. This is simply one way for today. So let's try this again on the second side. Let's go to Utkatasana first. Bend the knees, sit into the thighs. Utkatasana, feet together. And then drop the hands down until they're flat against the yoga mat. Kind of stay, map the picture in your brain. And say, okay, I want to come back here to the best of my ability, but with the left leg in the cross. So like tree pose, and then cross it further. Still try to point the left knee out to the side. And you could go back like Utkatasana here. And then try to fold over, hands flat against the mat, still keeping the foot flat as well. It takes ankle flexion. Sometimes that's the thing that kind of gets in our way. To get some lift off, I'm going to take the hands more forward, so more distance between the right foot and the hands. And then pick and lean the whole body up, so that my left leg is on the shelf of my arms and the back leg can act more like crane pose and squeeze up and in to the center line. Try to walk out in every stage of the pose, so get back to flat hands, flat foot if possible. Utkatasana with the leg crossed. And it slowly steps down, both arms up, reach, reach, reach. Malasana, we're going back to our yogi squat to finish these out. Kind of open back up into the groin and inner thighs. Okay, from here, crawl to all fours. Do a little cat and cow. Swing your right foot forward to the low lunge. Like we've already done, hands to the thigh, back knee stays down. Take the hands behind the head, Anjane Asana with hands behind the head. Hug the elbows in, point them up to the sky. As you go back to a neutral spine, set the left hand down, heel toe the right foot out to the side, back towards that Malasana leg, yogi squat. Twisted monkey, pull the back heel in. Good full quad stretch. Take the top hand, hold on to the back foot. As much or as little back bend here as you want to play with. You can even come down to the forearm to get more into the quad stretch. Release the quad stretch. Full low lunge, so back knee off of the ground, hands stay down. I'm taking this into twisted triangle pose. So I want just a slightly shorter stance. Press the back heel down, 2 flat feet, line up about heel to heel. Hands to the waist to straighten the front leg. Try to bring your torso about parallel to the ground with the hands at the hips. Square right hip, front hip, up and back hip more around and down. Extend the left arm out in front. Stay there or keep going for a deeper twist. Left fingertips to the ground, right arm up to the sky. And that expression of right arm up is from a twist and a turn all the way from the hips along the length of the torso. Go back to your regular low lunge. So both hands come down. Rebend the right knee. You're into a full low lunge. One more thing before we get into the other side. I don't want you to think too much about this. Hands to the inside of your foot. Place both hands to the inside of your foot like they place in downward facing dog. Side crane pose. Walk the left leg in. Set the outside of the left thigh onto your right upper arm bone. Can those feet hug in towards your butt to get off of the floor? Side crane pose. And then set it right back down. Walk it back into your low lunge. We're working on lots of range of motion there, changes. Step the back foot forward. Stand all the way up. Brush the arms to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Keep the left foot forward. Step the right foot back. Lower the back knee to the floor. Both hands come to your front thigh. Good. Anjaneyasana again. Hands behind the head. Squeeze the elbows in so you see them the whole time. Take the elbows to point more up to the sky and just keep letting the eyes follow the elbows. You're giving longer, taller in the sides of the waistline to help with the arch in the upper back. As you come back to neutral, hands to the inside, heel toe the left foot out to the side. You're setting up for twisted monkey here. Pull the back heel in. Left hand makes that rainbow shape up and around to hold on to your back foot. You're in the quad stretch. Release. Take full low lunge, so back knee up off of the ground, full stride. Close off the stride only a tiny little bit. Step the back foot in a little bit. Spin the back heel down. Try to securely plant both feet full onto the ground. So from the big toe to the pinky toe, all the way drawn back into your heel. And then hands to the waist, straighten the left leg. That'll pull your torso up. Try to bring the torso as much as to parallel to the ground. It doesn't need to go any further, especially because you're using the twist next. If I forget what I'm doing and aren't as present in this pose, my left thigh, my front thigh is going to sink a little bit down, and I'm going to lead from the back hip. Instead, try to make the lead be your front hip. It pulls up and back. Right hip goes around and down. It has to follow. And then with the right hip around and down, easier to take the right hand straight out. If my right hip is up and back, the arm, if it keeps the same line, is going to be a little bit up and back too. Then add the twist, right fingertips towards the ground, left arm up to the sky. Keep pressing through your feet, do all of the things to stay right here, imperfectly here, doing our best. Coming out of the pose, go back to a low lunge with both hands to the inside. Remember, palms flat. Set up the hands as a wide base like you do in downward facing dog. This right elbow should hang out. It doesn't touch the body in your turned crane pose if possible. So I've got to slip the right foot in. Try to plant the left palm still flat, which is going to need a bend in the elbows. And pull the feet up, head way down and forward to help with the physics of it all. To get out of it, go back into your low lunge and then step forward. Stand up, feel the release of all the space. Take your feet a little bit wider than the hips. Have the eyes open, make sure you feel full, not dizzy at all. If there's any slight bit of dizziness, stay as is or fold over. One more back bend if you're feeling all right here. Bend the knees, hands behind the head. Squeeze those elbows in so you follow the line of the elbows. Point the elbows up to the sky just like you did in your lunges. But now, 2 feet. Some bend in the knees so that this doesn't go into the low back. We're trying to take the bend. The higher part of the chest. Think upper ribs, upper spine. Then as you find neutral, do fold it over. Ragdoll should feel oh so good here. At least it does to me. Ragdoll. Try to let it just hang heavy and over. And then to downward facing dog. And pigeon pose. Bring the right knee behind the right wrist. Heel in towards the left hip. Be upright in pigeon. Hands to the waist if possible. Feel your strength here. I'm doing a series right now with Tara Lemeries. Some of you know Tara. We just did this expansive pigeon class. Fits in so well. Take the hands like goddess arms out to the side. And it's that push of the back knee down into the mat that keeps me balanced here. If you need the hands for balance, of course, use them. So this upright, more expansive pigeon. And then fold over. Let's kind of what we've been doing all class. We're a little bit over, we're a little bit open. I find so much more sweetness in both ends, practicing them together. Forward fold over and pigeon down onto your forearms. You can let yourself just kind of fall off to the right side so that you can bring your left foot around. And then take it into a twist here, a seated twist. Left foot goes to the outside of the right thigh. If you feel really imbalanced and want to bring that back leg out in front, you may. Look over towards your left side so you're moving towards the lifted thigh to take the twist. And as you untwist, I want to see us find flying pigeon down on our back. So you're going to untwist and then lie down onto your forearms. And this kind of stays in the figure 4 shape in the legs as you come all the way down to your spine. And if you send your arms straight up, lift your head and shoulders up off the mat, similar to what we did, trying to be in crane pose on our back. Now we're in a bit of that flying pigeon. And the last step in flying pigeon is to release and send your right leg out in front. Everything hovers. And then take both feet back down to the yoga mat. We got to roll ourselves all the way up and over to downward facing dog. Breathe into the present, ready, go. Up and over, downward facing dog. And then everything on the second side. So left knee goes forward behind the left wrist, back knee down. And again, we're thinking of that expansive pigeon first, the upright version. So for me on this side, I've been, slowly working through an injury. So I've got to stay way higher, and that's just fine. And you're finding the amount of stretch that the body can hold with safety. And that's an easier way to find your balance. Sometimes just really relying on that push of the back knee, keeping it closer, hips higher. Lovely. Take it down and forward so you get the opposite folding in notion down onto the forearms. And from here, we go to the seated twist. So you're leaning over onto the left leg till you can free up the right leg to come all the way up and around. Foot crosses over the thigh. And like on this side, my right butt has no way of getting down to the ground unless I extend the bottom leg out. And then I can find the twist. So even if it's a little different one side than the next, feel free to make modifications and changes for yourself. Old adage that always drives me a little nutty because of my perfections. Injuries make the best teachers. Just because you do things one way on one side doesn't mean it has to be the same on the other side. Come on back in, lie down onto your back, pull into your figure 4 shape. Hands straight into the sky. I always think dead bug pose here. And then your core work is the crunch. Lift the head and shoulders up. Trying to keep the right leg in that same cross and the left leg straight and about a foot above the mat. And then pull both knees into your chest. Give yourself a good squeeze. Rock a little bit from side to side. Whew, let the breath out. Nice solid practice work today. Take the hands out to a T shape. Let both knees fall towards the right side in a supine twist. Okay, knees and up and over to the second side. Friends, one of my intentions was to have a belly up back bend in every class throughout this month. So this is the time for that practice. Bring the feet, soles of the feet on the ground. And take a belly up back bend here, meaning bridge pose, supported bridge pose. Belly up back bend. Hey, my belly is already facing the sky and I do a little arch. Press the butt more in, shoulders back of the head back in, I'm there. Or full wheel pose if you want to go for it here. Hands behind the head in that southpaw direction. Looking at the elbows the whole time. Lift yourself up. I'm going to take bridge pose, but feel free to guide yourself somewhere else. In bridge pose, press your feet, shoulders, back of the head down. Hold on to the edges of the sticky mat or interlace the hands underneath you. All of us need to press through the feet to feel more of that squeeze in the glutes and lift through the top of the thighs. And then take your time to come back down, nice, slow, and safe. Do one more thing. Any last unwinding, one more pose. And then our final pause will be for 2 minutes. So you can choose if you'd like to lie back for that final pause or to sit up. I know for those of you in real time with me now, we're a couple of minutes past because my silly story at the beginning took a little longer. If you're able, stay 2 more minutes. And then from that place of rest, of stillness, move a bit. As you move, give yourself gratitude for self-compassion, taking enough risks and exploring movement enough to be imperfect through it. If you're lying back still, take your time to come up to a comfortable seat. Take palms together, maybe give yourself a hug. And we'll close this time, this practice, through the sound of Om. It's been feeling right to me to end with 3 sounds of Om lately. I hope you'll sing along or listen. You're, of course, also welcome to tune it out. Here we are. Take the breath out. Breathe in. Namaste.